Ladies and gentle stuff, as you can see, everything is torn apart in a million pieces. I got some bad news. In order to be safe, rip these freaking servos out and throw them in the garbage immediately. Let me tell you a little story of why I have 2 controllers and 3 receivers and 2 RC cars and everything else sitting here. Last night, I decided to take my little car out. There's a field like right next to my house. And I thought it'd be a good idea to go ripping around the field. So I go outside. I get distracted by a smaller field because it's full of mud, and I wanted to see how this thing handled in mud. And it handled perfectly fine. I was in the field or I was in the little muddy field for, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes. And I go across to the other field. And I make like 2 laps, and all of a sudden it just slows way down, loses all of its power. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, is that what the LVC, the low voltage control, is that what this car does? When it hits the LVC, it just slows right down? Because on all of my other cars, when it hits LVC, when you hit full throttle, it'll like, and you have to like give it quarter of throttle, and then it'll smoothly drive. And it'll smoothly drive slowly to get it back to where you are, and then shut it down, go charge your batteries. So I assumed that's that is what this one would do. And that is not what this one did. It just got really, really slow. So I thought it was low voltage control. I was like, that sucks. I don't get to go play in the big field. So I come back inside, plug my batteries in, and if you guys seen on my other video, when you plug these batteries in, you could check the voltages. But the voltages were at like 3.9 volts. I'm like, wait a minute. It's not down to the 3.5 that the LVC is. So I also check it with my multimeter, and this is accurate. All the cells were at 3.9 volts. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Whatever, I'll worry about it tomorrow. I charge up my batteries, go to bed eventually, wake up. I wanted to go test the field out, so I put the batteries in my car. Oh, and I rotated the tires because I don't know if you could see, but these were on the front. And from steering, gives it like this little camber doohickeys, so the insides of the tires wear down way faster than the outsides. So since these ones remain flat, and since these ones have better tread on the inside, I rotated the tires. But anyway, so I rotate the tires, I get all the water out after super gluing them, I put the shell back on the car, go throw on my boots, I put my hoodies on, I'm ready to go outside. I turn on the car, I set it down on the ground, and I'm getting ready to hit the throttle and go, because I drive it out of my door and I drive it down my hallway, drive it down to the elevator, unless I'm going to the back parking lot, and then I'll just carry it downstairs. Good thing I actually did that inside, because being inside gave me the ability to smell burning electronics, and I was like, oh shit, what the hell's going on? So I quickly ripped the shell off of my car, unplugged the batteries, and when I unplugged the batteries, these wires were so hot that the solder melted, and this wire right here popped right off of the thing. Like, just by touching it, it popped off, and it like burned the living shit out of me. That's how hot these plugs were. So yeah, obviously something was shorted. So I inspected everything that I possibly could. I took everything apart that I could take apart, just to make sure there was no like little breaks in the wires here, or I wanted to make sure everything looked legit, because obviously something was shorting out. I cleaned all the contacts, I took this off, I cleaned that out, and I was like, there doesn't seem to be an issue. Like, what the hell is going on? So I soldered this back on, I plugged the batteries in. Well, I plugged the one battery in, and the second battery I just quickly touched, like I touched it to there. I didn't want to like plug it fully in case there was a full-on short. I don't want to explode my batteries in the middle of my living room, in the middle of a building with like 50 or 60 other apartments in it. The tires, they cranked themselves to the right and nothing would do anything. The playing, doing like that on this controller, obviously. Going like that, it didn't do anything. I thought maybe the throttle rates or something was stuck, or the steering trim was stuck all the way over to the right. And nope. Oh, this is still on. So, long story short, this is an 8-minute video already of just blabbing. So what I thought it was my ESC. I thought the ESC went bad because I unplugged everything that I could. I unplugged these from the receiver, and I unplugged these from the ESC. So the only thing that was hooked up to power was the ESC. And when you really lightly touch your plugs together, I never noticed it before, but according to the internet, it says it's normal. Apparently they spark, and they always spark. And that's normal. That's just your capacitors very quickly pulling power to charge themselves up. So it must have been that either I always left power in my capacitors or something. I don't know. I never noticed it sparking before. So I thought that meant that since nothing was plugged into my ESC and since it sparked when it did that, I thought that meant my ESC was bad. So I contacted the seller. They're an authorized seller on eBay. They gave me a bunch of leaks and a bunch of info and the number for Arrma, and I was going to do a claim and blah, blah, blah. And he also, one of the links that he gave me was one explaining that sparking is normal. So I was like, okay, well, sparking is normal, then the ESC might not be the problem, because how do I have throttle if the ESC is broke? That makes no sense. And why did the tires crank themselves over to the right if the servo was fine? So long story short, I plugged this servo into this receiver and this ESC and plugged a different battery into here, a 2S battery, and this servo did not work. So I then plugged this receiver into this system with this servo and hit the steering, and the servo did not work. So then I plugged this receiver into this car with this servo and hit the steering, and it works perfectly fine. Meaning, the only thing that is broken in my whole system is the servo. And I knew these servos were junk. Like, I didn't have any issue with it. I've heard that people call them junk and people say they go bad quick and blah, blah, blah. I never had an issue with it until now. So I thought, people were just abusing their cars, or I didn't know what the hell was going on. But long story short, this servo went bad, and in the process of going bad, it created an internal short that shorted something in the receiver that then shorted something in my ESC, which shorted something in the battery, which is weird that these would get hot because these are way, way thicker wires than anything else, but it's the only thing that I can make sense, seeing how the servo is the only thing that's bad. Like, it's not rocket science. Like, it's very simple wiring. So, like, you'd think everything else would go bad first. Like, if there was a short, everything else would heat up, and the solder would break and all that first before these big, huge, thick wires did. But fact of the matter is that's not what happened somehow. Now I have to buy a new ESC, which I was going to do anyway. Now, unfortunately, it's on Banggood. It's only $27. That was $26.99. And it is an all Metal Gear servo, digital, coreless. It even has an aluminum casing. Everything looks good on that. But not only that, operating speed at 6 volt is 0.09 seconds for 60 degrees. That is very fast. Stall torque on 6 volt, 239 ounces per inch, which is pretty damn good. And on 7.4 volt BEC, it is 292, which is great. Like, I always look at things like the closest to 300 ounces per inch, or ounces to inch, whatever you call it. The closer to 300 you can get, that's the better, because all of the better servos are like 300 pounds and up, but they usually stay around 300. And the speed, anything below a tenth of a second, is damn fast. So this cheap little servo, it's fast, it's strong, all Metal Gears, and it's not crazy expensive. So usually to get a servo with these type of specs, you're going to be spending like $60, $70, $80, $90 sometimes. So to get one for $26, that is like insanely awesome. So this, I haven't tried it yet, but I have seen YouTubers have tried it and they all love it. They have nothing bad to say about it. I'm going to put a link to this in the bottom of the video, even though I am not sponsored by EcoBoost, Banggood. I'm actually not sponsored by anybody at all. I'm just giving you guys my honest opinions of things. So this is now a 16-minute video. Let me try to edit it down to hopefully under 10. If you don't want to lose your entire car, rip that piece of shit servo out and throw it in the freaking trash where it belongs. I almost lost $500 because of this servo going bad. And thank God it was only the servo. If that motor would have went bad, or if the ESC would have went bad, I'd be out hundreds of dollars. That is absolutely freaking ridiculous. So, yep, just a quick video I wanted to make to let you guys know what happened, so you're not going to be seeing any more freaking Typhon videos. I'm so pissed right now. You're not going to be seeing any more Typhon videos for a while, because I cannot afford even that $26. Even though it's a great price, and I am going to be getting it in the future, I can't afford to buy that right now. I have like $49 in my bank account, and my phone bill is $97, and they shut my phone off after 10 days, and it's been like 8 or 9, so I still need to scrape up another $50 for my phone bill before I can even think about replacing my toys, which pisses me off so bad, but it is what it is. That's the bullshit you deal with when you deal with RC cars. Things break, things go bad. It's just bullshit that it wasn't anything that I did that made it go bad. So, yep. Thank you all for watching, and you all have a fan-mother-freaking-tastic day.